they'll just be twice as good. And they taught that for 12 years. And guess what? We at the university right now can't find anyone that matches up those skills that they taught back in that time period when they could have victimized us and paralyzed us as they do with these children today by not telling them the truth.
The truth.
The truth of the matter is that you have the skills right now. There is no barrier except the sky. The sky is your limit and your only limit. Well, that's the truth of the matter.
And there's a couple things. Number one, we have to make sure that your talented 10 have the same concepts that you do, because as we saw with the boys, they didn't. Okay, they didn't. So now when he got led away in the irons and in the chains, they left it. So that's your reality that you're being led away, not mine. I'm fine. And second, like you said, you can see the victimization in classroom. You know, in the classroom, it's the same thing. You know, I can't do this, I can't do that. Well, if you choose to be a victim, then that's your choice. Right now, I don't have time for victims. I need some perform and learn and take what I have and go further with than what I've done.
So we don't need, the chains are still on a lot of people now. They don't even say it. You can talk to these kids in school. What do you want to do? I'm going to go to the NBA. I'm going to the NFL. And it's just, you try to explain, well, that's unrealistic. Do you know the percentage of people that's playing ball out there? Different countries now also can come into these things.
But you have to show them numbers too.
Yeah.
You have to show them numbers too, because that's what I like to do in my class, is I break down the numbers. So you got, 300 NBA players, you got 10 million high school players, you got 100,000 college players, and you got 300 or 400 NBA players. Unless you better than LeBron or Kobe, you're not gonna make it. Let's just be realistic. So you better get a book, and you need to focus on your studies.
It's interesting that you would bring that up because we just had one of our icons that just passed, Eddie Robinson of Grambling, and they talked about him over the weekend, and they said one of the things that he did every year at the beginning of football practice, he brought someone from the outside world, be it a philosopher, an accountant, a doctor, a lawyer, and he would have them come and speak to the football team. And each year the football players would say, why are you bringing this guy in here? Because he doesn't know anything about football. And he would always tell them, because the majority of you need to listen to him because he has made a success of himself through his education and not as a football player, because the majority of you will not be professional football players.
Wow.
This is only a vehicle to get you an education. So,
I think that's a wonderful story. And Eddie Robinson, by the way, who had 406 victories, I think he had 135, losses, coached 56 years, and had more football players going into the NBA than did Bear Bryant of University of Alabama, and more than Shook Jordan of Auburn during the time period which they were all coaching on the field. Let's face it here, those football players that Eddie Robinson had were some of the best in the country, but they were not going to play for Bear Bryant, for example, because they didn't have affirmative action. Right. In other words, what they didn't have was, they didn't have this expanded field of all qualified applicants can go out there in that field. That's what affirmative action is. Widen the playing field, and those who are qualified can go through those doors. It was never this nonsense here that you need an advantage over the other person by unleveling the playing field. That just declares your inferiority. I say let the clan do that.
Okay, we have 4 minutes. So would you each one like to make a quick statement, and then we're going to close out with Herschel. And Herschel's going to, the book that we're going to be in, we're going to name the book that we're going to use for our next study group meeting.
Well, I was just, when I talk to people when I get out, and one thing about it, I just try to say that as a black person in this country, you have to understand that you come from one of the most oppressed races on this planet. And just by looking around us, you can put any 5 black people together, none of us are the same complexion. And to show you how severely we've been oppressed.
Definitely we need teachers, not facilitators.
4 seconds.
We want to thank you for
joining
us today. We meet every other week, the second week and the fourth week of each month Monday at Page's Bookstore on Mondays at 5:30. If you care to join us, we would certainly appreciate you coming down. Thank you.
Thank you.